Good morning. It's Monday morning, and we're starting in our morning devotions into Psalm 141. Now, today, as we take a look at this psalm, I want to apologize because I'm getting this out a little bit late today. It was just one of those days where things have been a little bit crazy. So, crazy things. We got the kids off to school. That was a little bit rushed and weird. It was just Monday morning. But then I had a repairman coming because last week I had the mini split cleaned. And the mini split, as soon as they finished cleaning it, we started running it this weekend and it started making this really loud clicking noise. So I called the repairman or emailed the repairman. The repairman said, turn it off. We'll be there first thing in the morning. So I was waiting for them to come this morning. Wouldn't you know, after everything that happens, we get the kids out the door, we deal with the dog who's barking at the repairman, the mini split won't click. It works great. Quiet as a mouse, clean, smooth, perfect. So I dragged these poor two guys over here to take a look at this thing because I was convinced that they had misput the wheel in, the fan wheel on the mini split. Anyways, and it works now. It's just what happens sometimes. So anyways, I'm very thankful for those guys. Centennial HVAC, they do a great job. Ryan has put the mini split in at the church, and he did a fantastic job of cleaning ours. So thankful for them and for coming all the way out here. And he's willing to do it again if it starts clicking, but I think it's not going to click anymore. I certainly hope not. Anyways, today we get the joy of reading a really special psalm. As we continue our journey through these Psalms of David's, we get a psalm here that's an evening psalm of prayer. So earlier on, we had a psalm of the morning, a psalm that David prayed in the morning. Now we get a psalm of the evening. So let's read that together and take a look at it. Psalm 141, a psalm of David. O Lord, I call to you. Come quickly to me. Hear my voice when I call to you. May my prayer be set before you like incense. May the lifting up of my hands be like the evening sacrifice. Set a guard over my mouth, O Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Let not my heart be drawn to what is evil, to take part in wicked deeds, with men who are evildoers. Let me not eat of their delicacies. Let a righteous man strike me, it is a kindness. Let him rebuke me, it is oil on my head. My head will not refuse it. Yet my prayer is ever against the deeds of evildoers. Their rulers will be thrown down from the cliffs, and the wicked will learn that my words were well spoken. They will say, as one plows and breaks up the earth, so our bones have been scattered at the mouth of the grave. But my eyes are fixed on you, O sovereign Lord. In you I take refuge. Do not give me over to death. Keep me from the snares they have laid for me, from the trap set by evildoers. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, while I pass by in safety. So, first off, I would like to dispute with the idea that Kinder has to say. So, Kinder, one of the great commentaries that I use for this series, he says that this is an evening psalm, and the reason he says this is because in verse 2, it says, may my prayer be set before you like incense. May the lifting up of my hands be like the evening sacrifice. So, yeah, maybe. But I'm more inclined to think, quite frankly, that this is the kind of psalm that you would pray in the morning. This is a psalm that sets us forward as we look into our day and ask for God's protection and God's shielding wherever we go. It's the kind of psalm that gives us an attitude of dependence on God when we face wicked men, when we're tempted to do wicked things, when we're tempted to follow in with evildoers who eat delicacies that lead to death. There's this ongoing battle that David's engaged in this psalm, isn't there? A battle between good and the wicked. And it's a neat thing that he does. He says, set a guard over my mouth, O Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips, which we know from the book of James that the tongue is a weapon that causes great hurt and great sin. So it's beautiful that David recognizes that, and as a king that he hopes to be a king who rules well with his tongue. Then it turns around and he says, he calls for protection, but he also calls for guidance. And he calls for humility, which is just this fantastic and so beautiful verse. Let a righteous man strike me, it is a kindness. Let him rebuke me, it is oil on my head. My head will not refuse it. And so there's this ongoing sense that let me hear the words of the righteous and walk humbly with them. And then he goes on to say in the same verse, yet my prayer is ever against the deeds of the evildoer. And so he sets himself up in that prayer on the side of God, saying that my prayer and my desire is for your kingdom to come. And then he predicts the fall of the evil ones. He describes how one day they will see that the words that he's used are well spoken, that one day they'll see the justice in the work that he's doing. And verse 7 says, they will say, as one plows, breaks up the earth, so our bones have been scattered at the mouth of the grave. So they weren't even properly buried. They were so considered in such disdain that their bones were just cast aside. But then he goes on to say, and verse 8 really roots us in a beautiful way, where he says, but my eyes are fixed on you, O sovereign Lord. In you I take refuge. Do not give me over to death. Keep me from the snares they have laid for me, from the traps set by evildoers. Let the wicked fall in their own nets while I pass safely by. So this is just, let this be a prayer. This is a fantastic morning prayer. Let my eyes be fixed on you as I go throughout the whole day, Lord. Let me take refuge in you. In temptations and trials, let me look to you. Keep me from the snares that are laid for me, from the traps set by the the malice of wicked people. Let them fall into their own nets while I pass safely by. So there's this beautiful dependence on God that's rooted in this psalm, which morning or evening is a great way for us to start our day. This psalm in total is just, I think, a profoundly simple and beautiful psalm of spiritual warfare. This is teaching us with great wisdom how to walk with God, to take refuge in him. And who can't say that David wasn't a very wise man reflecting on these words? So having reflected on them, and I hope that you have time to go back and read this psalm prayerfully, not taking it apart like I've done, but just letting the words seep into your soul as you depend on God. After doing that, let the words guide you in the day ahead of you. Let's spend some time now praying together. Lord, you hear us, and you know what struggles we will face in the days ahead. You know what temptations and trials we'll need to depend on you to see triumph in. We know, Father, that you're the one who guides our footsteps when we take refuge in you. We know that you're the one who sets wise men and women around us to speak words of truth when we need to hear them, to guide us, Father. Let us hear the words and humbly walk together. We pray, Father, as well, that we would stand in your truth, recognizing the evil in the world around us, and praying, engaging with your spirit and your plan for your kingdom, that the world be healed and that the evil be cast away. We pray, Father, that you would give us confidence in an age where everything is so transient, to know that what you have spoken is true and is eternal. And we pray, Father, that though we go out with enemies and evil people setting nets around us, give us the discernment and the wisdom to see through those things and to humbly walk before you. We pray for your grace and your wisdom as we walk as your children in the world ahead. We pray, Father, for a world that is breaking, more so than ever before with COVID. And we pray for your hand of mercy on your church around the world. Give her wisdom that she might be hope to a broken world, that they might see the beauty of the risen King as they worship you. We pray, Father, as well for our leaders and for the coming election. In fact, today we're having our provincial election, so we pray for that. We pray that you would lead and guide us as we go to the polls, that you would bless the leader that you've called, and that you would fill them with your wisdom and your spirit, that they would be servants to the people that they have called them. And we pray for your wisdom for us as a province and your blessing, that you would